Paul Levora, Saturday Dobi, John Puniem, Felix Niati, Daniel Boku, Barnem Kiobel. You're probably wondering why I'm calling out random people with absolutely no context at all. Actually, these names are not random. These names are few from amongst a pool of over 1 million Nigerians who were directly affected, and many of whom lost their lives in the process of seeking justice from this Dutch company, a company we're all familiar with and have purchased from within the past week. Yes, that includes you and I, regardless of our geographic location in this world. I do not exaggerate this claim, and I do not say this lightly. This is a company who literally owns the Nigerian government. Let us start here. The southernmost region of Nigeria, Ogoni land, consistent of the Ogoni people, proud, fearless men who preside over the most sought-after crude oil deposits in the world, but are the most disenfranchised ethnic group in Nigeria. The Ogoni people are a minority ethnic group in Nigeria consisting of mostly fishermen and farmers. Permit me to start their story from here. For the past 6 decades, the Ogoni people have been engaged in a battle of attrition, an uphill fight to secure justice, their community, source of income, and basic human rights. 4 years prior to Nigeria gaining her independence, in collaboration with the British government, the Royal Dutch Shell Company found lucrative reserves of oil within the soil of Ogoni land. 2 years later, Shell commenced their fracking of Ogoni soil. Unbeknownst to the Ogoni people, Shell was just looking for palm oil. They were completely oblivious of the fact that this new venture Shell is about to embark on will lead to the inevitable devastation of their homeland, that their community will be ravished and rendered desolate for decades to come. Within a span of just 15 years, there are about 3,000 oil spills. A lot of these spills are due to oil bunkering, which is the clandestine siphoning of oil by the local people. That being said, Shell is notorious for blaming these oil spills on the locals, saying that our pipelines are being sabotaged. Theft by the people is the reason for these oil spills. Amnesty International, which is a global community movement that is organized to scrutinize world government and global powers. Amnesty International mentioned that their researchers have found at least 89 spills at which Shell has falsely blamed the locals of being guilty of. Many of these spills are a result of natural hazards and poor qualities of the materials used and a general lack of equipment maintenance to transport oil. These pipelines are so cheaply made that in some instances they're literally unearthed by the ground itself and exposed to even more forms of weathering. Other pipelines were not even buried at all, which is against international benchmark standards. Over time, these appliances can subside due to eternal pressure or corrosion, like in the case of the 1970 and 78 oil spill, which covered the ground with over 600,000 barrels of oil, rendering the environment completely desolate. Stop. You don't get it. Like flood water slowly creeping its way into your home, dampening your belongings. This is an entire community covered in oil, unavoidably finding its way into the wells, boreholes, drinking and bathing water supplies. In 2006, a party of experts were assembled with the goal of conducting a natural resource damage assessment. Their evaluation concluded that around 9 to 13 million barrels of oil had been spilled.
Blowouts, oil blowouts, spillages, oil leaks, and general pollution accompany the search for oil. This is usual, but in most cases, the oil companies have an obligation to ensure that these things do not happen, or that where they do happen, they do not disrupt life a great deal. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, Shell, which has prospected for oil in Ogoni country for the past 33 years, has not done any of these things. It uses outdated equipment in Ogoni. As a result of that, we've had a major blowout in 1970. The land that was destroyed at that time remains in that state. It's totally unusable up to this moment.
He was 6 years old. I saw oil all over his body. The oil came out from his nose, his mouth, his ears. He swallowed the oil a lot.
Let us pause here for a moment. For those who this may not be your first time hearing of this matter, you may already know where I am headed. You know that this is but the tip of the iceberg. For everyone else, we are but scratching the surface of what is otherwise a series of atrocities and shell crimes against humanity. So where do I begin?
What you see is oil. It's crude instead of water.
There is no means I can fish here. I am just like that in the home, staying without doing anything. That is the cause of impoverishment. Somebody with family, wife and children, and have those who are depending on me. The source of income
is completely killed off. This is an entire ecosystem completely destroyed. Nothing planted can grow. No animals live there. The mean life expectancy is 10 years shorter than the national average. Infant mortality rate is exorbitantly high. A lot of babies are born prematurely. In 2017, studies showed that babies in Nigeria were twice as likely to pass away in the first month of their life if their mothers were living near an oil spill before becoming pregnant. The people grew up drinking, cooking, and washing with polluted water. Water saturated with cancer-causing chemicals. They eat contaminated fish and vegetables. The water and locally grown food cannot be drunk or eaten unless one wants to test the effects of oil on the human body. The health hazards associated with an atmosphere charged with hydrocarbon vapor is innumerable, ranging from upper and lower respiratory tract diseases to cancer. The air is so polluted that this is one of the few places on the planet where acid rain is actually a thing. Once a thriving and flourishing ecosystem, now a barren land unfit to contain life, making Ogoni land amongst the most polluted places on Earth. The people are left two options: to go elsewhere and become refugees, or to stay put and suffer the fate of an oil-ravaged environment. So one may ask, where is the Nigerian government in all of this? Well, don't ask. Unless you are desperate for colossal levels of disappointment. Undisturbed and unbothered, Shell continues its operations, showing nothing but contempt for the local inhabitants for the land, making billions of dollars each year, whilst the people of the Niger Delta region of Nigeria are not given their fair share of the national cake. They're otherwise left in subjugation and forced to live in an oil-polluted environment. So I present you this question. If it were you, what would you do? Well, the inhabitants of Ogoni land carried out their grievances through a chain of protests, which transpired into blatant denial and complete dismissal of their complaints, with Shell stating that all of these accusations are an attempt to place development and other responsibilities on Shell, that Shell had nothing to do with these, and that these contentions had no relation to what's actually taking place. 1987, a peaceful protest was held. This was preceded by brutal aggression from the Nigerian government. The mobile police force, which is also known as Kill and Go, was called upon, and in the course of their actions, 40 homes were burnt down, rendering hundreds homeless overnight. Internal Shell documents show that Shell encouraged and instigated military campaigns to be conducted in the Ogoni land against the protesters. Well, you asked where was the Nigerian government in all of this. I hope you're content with your answer. Feeling dismissed, marginalized, and disregarded. This led to the Ogoni elders drafting the Ogoni Bill of Rights, which consisted of their rights to protect their environment and ecology from further degradation. This was the birth of the movement of the survival of the Ogoni people. One of its early members, Ken Saro-Wiwa, who is a Nigerian writer, environmental activist, and television producer.
What is happening in Nigeria is robbery, is brigandage, it's not government. And it is the responsibility of writers like myself and other well-meaning people to fight it.
Ken Saro-Wiwa was most famously known for his satirical television series, Bassi and Company, which at its peak accumulated an audience of about 30 million people.
Madam, if I die, I will hunt you.
No, Webers. Dead men don't bite.
You know, she promised to give me a decent burial when I die.
But she won't give you money for a bit of dodo.
No, no. Dead men don't bite, she says. Huh. I'll bite her. I'll bite her.
Ken Saro-Wiwa. Hold on to his name, because through the course of this video, we'll be referencing him periodically. 3 years after constructing the Ogoni Bill of Rights in the year 1990, nothing changed. A second mass protest was conducted, and in a haste to disperse the gathering, to prevent further international recognition, Shell insisted for the presence of the mobile police force Kill and Go, the same police force that I mentioned earlier when you asked me where was the Nigerian government in all of this. October 31st, 1990. This day will forever be remembered, where unarmed peaceful protests were followed. 80 fatalities were recorded. This was then preceded by the destruction of over 500 homes by the same mobile police force. There's a reason why they're nicknamed Kill and Go.
At Shell, we all make a commitment to work by our core values, which are honesty, integrity and respect.
Believe me when I say this. I apologize for interrupting the flow of this video, but I would like to use this opportunity to thank the sponsors of today's video. And that is you guys, seriously. Everyone watching this video until this point, you are the biggest supporter of this channel. Let me know that you've made it this far by typing in the comments, Akin, I am here too. Watching some of my previous videos on this channel is also a great way to support this channel. Where was I? After the atrocities committed by the mobile police force Kill and Go, the Nigerian government also responded by banning public gatherings and declaring that disturbances of oil production areas are an act of treason. Like I mentioned earlier, Ogoni are proud and fearless men. Despite of the ban, they mobilized yet another massive movement of over 300,000 people on the 4th of January 1993. A few months later, that same year, Ken Saro-Wiwa was arrested, released from prison, and jailed again 5 days later. 12 days after that, another oil pipeline was damaged due to Shell's construction in the area, and this destroyed a newly freshly farmed farmland in Ogoni land. The people had had enough. Within a short time frame, 10,000 men had mobilized for protest. You guessed it. And you guessed correctly. The same mobile police force was called upon yet again, resulting in 10 fatalities were recorded. This pattern will continue to repeat itself several times within a couple of months, where Ogoni men will assemble in protest of their rights, and they are accosted by the mobile police force.
Yes, I will be in this country, in our own fucking country, and we're scared to walk because of our fucking police. We don't want them no more.
for Nigeria tomorrow. And the Ogoni people are now fully mobilized to demand their rights of the government of Nigeria.
The mobile police force and the Nigerian military were on standby. 400 soldiers were deployed into the region with instructions of attending these protests and firing upon these demonstrators when possible. On the 24th of January the following year, 3 major oil companies estimated to have lost over $200 million in the previous year, attributing their loss due to unfavorable conditions in their area of operation. They requested from the Nigerian government for urgent measures to combat the situation in a message titled "Restoration of Law and Order in Ogoni Land." They requested for extensive military presence in Ogoni to include the Army, Air Force, Navy, and, you guessed it, to increase the presence of the mobile police force. All of this to facilitate and ensure secure expansions of their aerial routes deeper into Ogoni land.
Recovering the money that has been stolen from us, I do not want any blood spilt. Not of an Ogoni man, not of any strangers amongst us. We are going to demand our rights peacefully, non-violently, and we shall win.
In a private memo, the Nigerian government mentioned, "Shell operations still impossible unless ruthless military operations are undertaken for smooth economic activities to commence." Sarawiwa responded saying, "This is it. They're going to arrest us all and execute us, all for Shell." Unfortunately, Ken Sarawiwa's words will come to pass on the 10th of November 1995, where he, alongside 8 other activists, were hung on made-up charges of murder. The world was watching, and watching closely. And everyone knew this was complete bullshit. His death provoked international outrage and led to the immediate suspension of Nigeria from the Commonwealth of Nations. It also facilitated an arms embargo to be placed on the Nigerian government. Let me pause here because I get it. More than anything, you are more livid by the Nigerian government. I understand because I share the same sentiment as you. The Nigerian government is equally as guilty in all of this. I mean, how could you be so grim and cold-blooded to to accomplish such crimes against your own people? This is a matter I hardly ever speak on because our government is a completely failed cause. The same government that ordered and organized the Lekki toll gate last year and perpetually denies it like it never happened. I mean, how bad does one have to be that I see you as a totally failed cause and no longer factor you as a possibility in the quest for justice? By all means, f*** the Nigerian government. Ogoni elders did not pursue their case against Shell in Nigeria. They went to international courts. You see, going to the Nigerian courts would be nothing short of madness, really. How could one be the problem and the solution simultaneously? Permit me to lay before you a frame of reference before I continue. One thing that we must contextualize before I proceed is the ambience of Nigeria at the time. When the British handed over power to Nigeria, there really wasn't any systems in place to ensure stability of the government. There was a void of power created, resulting in a reach for power. The Nigerian government wasn't one that was installed by the people. Rather, these were inconsistent military governing bodies that found themselves in the seat of power via a military coup. They were not elected by the people, hence there were no promises, no accountabilities that was being made, no mandate from the people for the governments to fulfill their duties. Their only loyalty was to that which could foil their pockets. Within these cracks of the Nigerian government is where Shell deviously creeped themselves into. Even with the context that I have just stated, I am sad to say that all the actions of our governments at the time still mirrors our reality today. More than 90% of the Nigerian government's revenue comes from oil exportation. Companies like Shell have tremendous leverage over Nigeria, resulting in a banana republic. We refer to a country as a banana republic when that country is sustained by one source of revenue, like in the case of Nigeria with oil. The country is so dependent on this one industry that without it, the country would collapse. This leads to the government yielding to every demand from these industries, which was the case in Guatemala and literal banana companies. Hence the name of Banana Republic was derived. Banana was to Guatemala what oil is to Nigeria. I'm tired. Don't forget to dislike this video. Did you know that there's a country in Africa who fought a war during the colonial era against every country in Europe and won? Yes. Click this video to find out how they did it.